This episode contains mature themes, language, and discussions that might not be suitable for all audiences. We believe in open and honest conversations that sometimes involve exploring topics that can be sensitive or challenging. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Shantell Martin, and I'm the host of What's the Point? This is a conversation series dedicated to exploring why artists create art and the forces that influence us. Join me as I sit down with artists and friends to talk about their reasons for doing what they do and why they continue to create.
For me, the point of art is creating your own language.
A lot of times when I shoot, I think of how's this going to look in 10 years?
I don't really think about the individual colors as much as I think about how they play off of each other.
Oh, the point is the journey.
And I start to get a sense of what the painting is going to be like.
Because the point of art could simply be just to make it.
I'm super happy to introduce today's guest, JosephBrandon Thomas. Thomas is a mixed media artist and designer based here in LA, but originally from New Orleans. I'm thrilled to have him here today. He works with sculpture and paintings and deals with themes about discrimination and oppression, specifically in the Black community. His work is powerful and impactful, and I'm so happy to have him here today on What's the Point? So thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
So you said you didn't come far, you just came from...
Well, I stopped at Band Devices, dropped some keys off, and then I came here. So I came from Culver City.
Okay, yeah, West Side.
Yeah,
you're not too far from me.
No, your studio was in Culver, right?
My studio was in Culver until the end of last year, till October. So
Okay.
the building where I was in Culver City on Venice and Main Street, they're going to knock it down.
Wow.
I think they might have started knocking it down already, and it's just like Culver City, it's going to...
Be a sky rise.
There's another apartment building coming
shops
up.
at the bottom.
Exactly,
LA.
exactly. So I am studio-less at the moment.
Oh,
But I took a little office at USC ISI.
okay.
It's in Marina Del Rey. And ISI is the Information Science Institute. So
Wow.
I'm an artist in residence there right now. So I have a little office with a nice view.
Congratulations.
Why I can figure things out and, find my next studio.
Awesome.
So that's good. And is your studio in Culver City too?
My studio's in Inglewood.
Inglewood.
Beacon Arts Building.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of art, like 100 artists in there, something like that.
Yeah. And so, just now we were talking about looking at things in 20s, like
Yeah.
20-year blocks. So, we're in our 40s now.
Yeah.
Like, so tell me a little bit about that kind of thinking. What have you been thinking about?
So I have a daughter on the way. So I'm just thinking about like...
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm 46 and I'm thinking like, man, like I have a son that's 23 and I remember when I was 23. So I'm just thinking about like the stuff that I wanted to, like I wanted to get like tattoos all over my body and all that. And I'm like, man, I don't want to do that no more. Like it's all like old thinking. So I'm just wondering like what I'm going to be thinking about and what I'm going to be doing like when, my daughter turned 20.
Yeah.
Be like 60 something. So that's it. It just got me reflecting like that. Like,
How is it having a 23-year-old son walking the world kind of around, calling you dad and doing his own things?
It's kind of surreal because he kind of, looked like me and he kind of like his mom. And, you talk about things when he was younger and as he get older, he kind of come around on certain things and talk to you about like just life. So it's kind of like, it's crazy. It's almost like living like another life. Like you kind of get to live in like a parallel universe almost because you're talking to somebody that's experiencing the world from a different perspective in a different part of the world, in a different time. And it's, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, I think, it must be surreal in that sense. And, we're artists, we create things.
Yeah.
But you created a child, like that's a piece of art that's walking
right.
around.
It's my greatest creation. I tell him and him and his sister that, and I'm just really curious about stuff. And, both of them are really serious. So I'm kind of, sometimes I feel like I'm like really silly and they like, kind of like the parent because the world is different You know, and they're like, Dad, you can't say that no more. You can't, you know. And I'm, so I feel like a kid sometimes when I'm talking to them, but
Yeah, they're telling
cool.
you how to navigate the world,
Exactly.
what you can and can't do. And,
Yeah.
and what are your kids' names again?
My son name is Kobe, and my daughter name is Kat.
Colby and Kat.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Where did Kobe and Kat come from?
Kobe because Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. He was, you know, I just admired, you know, what type of player he was and what type of person he was trying to be. So I thought it was, you know, fitting. You know, I spelled it a little different, but yeah, that's where that came from. And Kat is my daughter's name is Corinne Avery Faye Thomas. Avery Faye is one name, so the initials spell CAT. So I think when she was like maybe third grade, she realized that was her initials, and she was like, "I want to be Kat." You know?
Yeah.
So we just started calling her Kat.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
And then so speaking as, you know, more than one name that is one name, you know, Joseph-Brandon, where's your name come from? And is
So-
it technically two names in one name, or how does that work?
That's a good question because it always comes up when I introduce myself to people. Because a lot of people, they know me as either B or Brandon. A lot of my family call me Lil Joe. But I always wanted to be called Joseph. I always wanted to be Lil Joe. I thought that was my name when I was in school. So when I was like 6 years old, I was in kindergarten. They called in a roll, and I heard them, you know, call Brandon, but I'm not saying nothing. And I remember this like it was yesterday. And I'm like, no, my name is Lil Joe, you know. And I went home and I told my mom, you know what happened, and they were like, nah, you know, your name is Brandon. But I asked my dad, I was like, why didn't you name me Joseph? But I had 2 other siblings before me. My dad had like 9 kids, you know, 3 baby moms. So he said, I just wanted you to be your own person. So I was like, all right. But when I was in Otis, probably I think it was 2017, my dad took sick, and he wound up passing away right before I graduated. And I always wanted to be, you know, Joseph. So I decided to take on his name. But I didn't want to throw my old name away and all the energy that was attached to it. So I made one name so I can be who I always wanted to be and who I was at the same time.
So you get to be Little Joe and Brandon.
Yeah.
I love that. And honor your father at the same time.
So there's, you know, because there used to be like a separation inside of myself. You know, I never really felt like a whole person until I like decided to do that. You know, connect, you know, the two. You know, like I said, who I always wanted to be, how I always seen myself. Because sometimes people don't see us how we see ourselves. You know, and I think I heard something like the mirror don't really show like our true reflection to us. So for me, it just was a way to connect everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it keeps me, I tell people it's like a spell, or it just reminds me when I hear JosephBrandon to be present and to like really take everything as serious as I can and love the moment.
So back then, how do you think people saw yourself compared to how you saw yourself?
That's a good question, because a lot of my work kind of reflect that, especially like family. As a kid, as somebody that they could just watch. Like I always felt like people was just watching me do stuff, and you know, it's like almost like you doing something and they just looking at you. You're looking at them like
You're just trying to drink.
yeah, you know. But you don't know that they experienced almost everything that you going to experience. So it's like almost like entertainment. That's how I kind of see that. I try to address some of that, you know, in my work sometimes. I do a lot of character-driven work with my character, Lil Joe. And I always was like an old soul coming up. You know, I would always hear adults talk like that, and I would see a lot of adult situations and things like that. So I was just always just curious about like what is going on. You know, like why they watching me and why I have to watch them. Like I don't know, for whatever reason, I just used to think a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Thinking is good. And I think, you can see that thinking within your work. I think there is such a depth of contemplating and conception within that. And your work does kind of span different mediums. And, for those who are perhaps not familiar, can you tell us a little bit more about your work and some of the mediums that you've touched as well?
Yeah. So almost like every artist, I started off drawing. A strong foundation in drawing in my work. From there, I think I might have expanded to watercolor, then probably like painting, like acrylic painting. I used to paint murals a lot in New Orleans. I addressed a lot of things that I went through. As I got older in my practice, I started to realize like the different mediums kind of brought out different things inside of me. So the painting for me was like the one, like when I got to experience, I was a little bit older though. I think it was like in my early 20s, my mid 20s, and I was just internally I was just dealing with a lot, and I would leave my emotions like on the canvas. Like I would do like these abstract paintings that I always wanted to do that you would see and you'd be like, how is that art? Somebody just painted two dots in the space, but I started to go down that journey and understand like what all that stuff was about, and it's really how I addressed a lot of like turmoil inside of me. It's almost like if somebody was like a librarian by the day, but at night, they was like a kickboxer. That's how they got that aggression out and and dealt with that shadow self. So a lot of my work, I would paint and then I would like draw, and I would just try to see. Like while I was waiting for something to dry, I would try to develop another idea. And that's how I've always been. Like I would always just like see where things would lead me to. And then I started to sculpt. And that's when I really started to see the difference of what was my mood. I started to like study myself. I started studying myself and understanding like what I was doing and what I was trying to say. So like really now I don't really paint anymore. I don't really think about it. I have a lot of clarity in the things that I was thinking about, and my mindset is just in a different space. I'm a little older, so sculpting, it's a little bit more polished, a little bit more design, which is like a totally different part of your brain. That's just where I'm at right now, just sculpting and just trying to like push that as far as I can. And I'm even thinking about now like MR and VR and how that could play like some kind of part in, in the sculptures that I'm doing.
Yeah. And so were you born and raised in New Orleans?
Born and raised, yeah.
Yeah. What was it like growing up there?
It was crazy because it's a very artistic city. It's everywhere. I went to France for the first time, and it kind of reminded me of France. It is a derivative of France, but because the culture of the people in France are so artistically inclined, and everything they do, is just amazing. It reminds me of New Orleans. It has its own kind of culture. So,
some music, art everywhere.
Music, art. I mean, just the way people dress, the way people talk. They got several dialects in New Orleans. Like, just the females talk different from the males in New Orleans. Just so many things that you could look at and be appreciative of the form of it is. So, New Orleans is just one of them places.
Yeah, and so growing up in New Orleans, what was your household like? So you have a couple of siblings.
Mm-hmm. I was the oldest in my household. My mom and dad had 3 kids, but I did spend a lot of time with my older brother and his sister. They were twins. They lived a couple of blocks from us in a project, and it was just a regular, regular life, playing in the street, playing basketball, just walking to school sometimes, just regular, regular things. I was, I think for me, drawing, I would like copy a lot of stuff that I saw, or even trace things that I saw, and people was always like enamored by that, seeing you, on a white paper, just making something and, thinking that it's, this nice piece. And it was just, for me, it was just stuff that I was doing. I wasn't really trying to impress nobody or anything, but I did understand at an early age that the power of like kind of like storytelling and capturing people's attention, was something to behold.
Yeah.
It was something about that in life. I did understand that. Like I think I was like 6 when I came to that notion that, hey, there's something to this. Like, people are paying attention to you because you are doing something that's different.
Coming back to the idea of being watched and but doing something different.
Yeah.
And do you think you were, what was your personality like as a kid? Were you silly then, or were you the serious one because you were a little bit older?
I was the serious one. I was always like the leader, even when I wasn't the oldest in the situation. I would always, and I still do, I didn't really know how to, keep my mouth shut. So if I saw something that was wrong or wasn't done right, I would say something about it. So then people would always like, kind of look at me first to see if it was okay to do something or, what you think about this. So, or just come up with things to do. Like I remember one time, about 10 years old, and we was watching like the Ninja Turtles or something, and it was a bunch of us, about 10, 11 of us out there, and we wanted to act like the Foot Clan, so we wanted to be like ninjas. And I took the T-shirt and put it over our head and tied him in this weird way, and it looked exactly like a ninja mask or something. And my friends was just like enamored by that. It was like, how you not do it? I was like, I don't know. It just looked like the right thing to do. Mm-hmm.
You've been living in LA too long. When you want to ask someone their star sign, or like when their birthday is. So when's your birthday? What's your star sign?
So my birthday is May 23rd. I'm a Gemini. I'm a horse. I have a friend of mine. She's into like the Chinese horoscopes and all that kind of stuff. So, but I also kind of celebrate myself twice a year. I have like a half birthday, November 23rd, that I kind of like, internalized for myself, because it was like the time where I decided to live my life differently and more intentional, because I kind of had like a better understanding of, what it is and what I wanted to do. And it was really close to that date. And it's like actually like 6 months apart from my day. But and then I always hear like people, talk about Geminis having 2 personalities and all that. So I kind of use that to explain that to them when they think about it. But I always tell them, Geminis go hard for other people and they go hard for themselves at the same time. So that's to me, that's where like the 2 personalities come in at.
So I'm picking up, this theme of self-reflection, of, taking time to really contemplate who you are and what you want and where you want to go. Mm-hmm. Is that innately a part of you, or is that something that you've had to seek out or learn along the way? Like, why has that reflection been important to you as a person and your work? I had a rough childhood coming up, and kind of like shook me a bit. And anything, like humans are like controlled a lot by emotions. And, I was a kid when this happened to me. So I just been trying to figure out like what that is. Why do I think about things like this? Or why do things like this affect me? Or, why do I respond to certain things? And I've always just been on this journey to figure out like, what is life? And, how can I get to a place where I feel comfortable in it? When I think about life, I think about it almost like I want to just be quiet and just think about it, but it's so many things. It's like that movie, Everything All at Once. I think it is something like that. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes, it's like when I saw that, it was like it explained like it's really like that. Like you could think about so much. Like you start thinking about something, then you realize it don't really matter. A lot of times I come to it don't really matter.
It doesn't matter, but then it's all connected and everything is everything.
Yeah. Soon as I say it don't really matter, then I say it matters. And then when I get to why it matters, then I come to it don't matter. So it's almost like a cycle of just thinking. So it's just something that I've been curious about. And just on my journey, I just realized like the effects of me just trying to build myself back up, that, you have to still keep going, and you also have to put things down sometimes and take a break, and pick other things up. So, that's just how I'm built, like everybody, built and have their own, patterns of recognition, and mine's just just a little inward sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Someone said to me, and I don't remember who it was, but, you know, they said to me, we carry a lot of baggage, emotional baggage, physical baggage, but to open new doors, you need to put that baggage down.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, that I think that was really profound to me, because it's like we carry this stuff and sometimes it becomes so much a part of us and infused on us, and it stops us from opening those new doors. And sometimes we're like, well, this is mine, my pain, my emotions, my whatever. I need to carry this. But it's like you don't have to carry it all the time. Like you can pull it down and take a break and go through a new door.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm starting to, you know, think about things a little different, and I think about like some of the opportunities that I want, and I think, and I'll be like, well, if that's what I want, then I can't do these things no more. I can't be with these people as much. There's a lot of things that you have to, again, like you can say, put down, because you can't look back when you're going forward. You know, it slows you down, and it distracts you from, you know, you only can look one way at a time. So. Yeah, you just gotta, you just gotta live how you feel how you feel you should. You know, that's just how I think about it. It's a forward cycle.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a backwards thing. You know, like you'll come back after everything else goes forward. Like you know, everything, you know, traveling in this weird way, and all that stuff that you left behind, you're gonna see it again, as you know, when it's time for you to see it, or if it's meant for you to be seen on, you know, where you're going.
And then speaking of traveling, I feel like last year you were traveling quite a bit.
Yeah. Last year was it was probably the busiest year of my life. I did the most traveling I ever done.
So tell us about some of those travels and what they were for.
Okay. I think I'll start from the back, because I remember those the most. I went to Miami. For Art Basel, I traveled there with Band Devices. That was a great experience. Just learning from, you know, Terrell, and experienced, you know, the art world from that side, as a art handler and a curator. I didn't have any work in that show. I was offered to show some things, but I really wanted to just take in that experience. Like I was getting to mentally to the person that you're talking to now. I was like, you know what, I'm taking things a little bit more easy. So I just wanted to, you know, be of service to the artist that I was, you know, there to represent, and experience like the whole, you know, Art Basel community that way. And before that, I was in Paris, and I did have a piece that I showed, a marble sculpture that I showed there, and that was a great experience, because I brought my daughter with me. And I told her she was like 8 or 9, she asked me if we can go to Paris. And I told her, I said, baby, one day I'll take you, you know. So this was the opportunity, and it was great to share my work with a new audience.
Yeah. And where was that?
That was at, it was this, what's the name of this? Art show was called Akka, I think. Yeah, Akka, also known as Africa. It was like one of the satellite fairs they had around the Basel that was going on in France.
And so your daughter, she liked Paris? She liked France?
She did like it. She did like it. Like she wanted to go to the Louvre and do all of those things. I didn't want to do all those things, but I'm glad, you know, that I did, because like I said, sometimes I feel like the kid when they're around, because they, you know, they into that kind of stuff. I had a great time experiencing Paris. I didn't enjoy the food too much. Yeah, but
that's not uncommon.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. And I'm
I just politely laughed. Yeah.
But it was a beautiful experience. And then I think before that, I went to Belize. Me and my wife went to Belize on vacation, and it's beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful country. Yeah, we stayed in Belize City, and it was just, you know, we spent a lot of time like in the neighborhoods with the people.
How do you get there from here?
We flew to Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from Houston, you know, to Belize. Yeah. And it felt like I was in the 80s. Like, it was a really slowed down city, beautiful people, down-to-earth people. Kind of make you feel like Jamaica a little bit, but not touristy, like just really nice. So it was just me and her kind of relaxing, and it was a great time. That was it, because I'm an instructor at Otis, so for 15 weeks, from January to May, I'm pretty locked in over there.
Isn't it funny that, like travel, it kind of, it comes and it goes. And then, if you're not really logging it, and it's not really in your passport, those trips can kind of, they go from your memory quite quickly.
That's right. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit kind of about your schooling, so growing up in New Orleans, you're kind of creative, you're drawing. Like, how do you end up from there? I think you went to art school.
Yeah. Because it's an art city, there's always like projects going on in school, like dealing with like New Orleans floats, using the shoebox, stuff like that in school. When I went to middle school, I went to this. My mom was real smart at, finding places to put us, so we could be creative. Because my two brothers could draw too, and we went to this school. It was called New Orleans Free School. It was just like this alternative school, and it was all like a bunch of hippies like just running this school, and we called the teachers by their first name. They had a really good curriculum. We had these 13 projects that we had to complete for the year. So it was almost like, like every 5 weeks or something, we had this project we had to do, like, drop the egg from 3 stories and make something, and, doing all these complex like projects that make you think, and being around other kids too, that was just as creative. It was like being in high school in middle school. It stands out a lot. It played a big part in just how I think. When I went to high school, it was like a lot slower. Like I didn't put much effort into anything. But the high school I went to was an art school, and they had this after-school art program called Yaya, and that's where I met Lyndon. And he was one of the studio managers there at the time. And you know how he is. He, straightforward, tell you like it is. Just like most people in New Orleans. It's like one of your uncles or something, But he knew a lot. And I was, I've always been a curious learner. So I just gravitated towards him and just took him, what I could. But that program, it kind of molded me because there was like 20 Lyndons there. I mean, people doing art on a high level that would come and talk to us. And, when you're that age, you're in high school, you don't really take things serious. Like, I wasn't really taking things serious. Like, I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was also in the program. She's my wife now, but, I wasn't really trying to heal that. But because I'm a visual learner, I see everything, and that's why I don't really take things as serious as most people do, because I just think different, and I know what it's going to do for me. So I just internalize, like, almost, everything visually in a certain way. So I didn't really, take a lot of things as serious as I should have. Like, looking back, and I know I seem serious, but when I was in high school, I was crazy. I was experiencing life in a totally different way. I really believed that when I made 18, I was gonna die. Like, I believed all that stuff they was telling me on TV. So that's why I was living hard like that. But also at the same time trying not to be a statistic at the same time. Like, I wasn't robbing nobody or doing nothing like that, but the type of person that I was, in that city, like, somebody use you to as like we can call them like a duck, as somebody that, to, get an opportunity over, because you just not in that street life type of thing. So, and I lived, in the hood. So, that program actually, like, saved me from a lot of stuff that I could have been doing or would have gotten to, because, like, I had a lot of my friends, died there, and got caught up in the streets, But I think Yaya High School, that was the segue for me to, take art, serious in a different way. But when I graduated, I got into culinary arts. That's when I started cooking. And I was already working at a restaurant. And I started working as a busboy. Then I graduated to a waiter. And again, like visually, like I just find things to do. I used to do these butter sculptures at this restaurant. It was crazy, because people taking butter on the bread. So I would make these little sculptures. I'd get there early. And I forgot all about this, but, it's coming back to me. And they was like enamored by it. It was like, how you doing that? So they're like the only restaurant that's, they got these sculptures, people sitting down looking at them.
So you take the butter and then you'd sculpt them into like...
So I would just take like, how I come in like little squares? So I would start off with the square and then I would like cut it and do different things, like make like different little shapes and stuff out. I didn't never like play with it, like mold it with my hand or nothing, but I would just cut it in different ways and make it sit to where people be like, how that butter standing up like that? Put them back in the fridge and stuff like that. But then I was getting curious about working in the kitchen. I wanted to make more money. So I started working in the kitchen, and then it was like a little fight about, we need them in the front. No, we want them in the back type of thing. So I had to make a choice. And it was the first time, I still really don't make choices. I always say I let people make them for me. They decided to pay me more money, so they made the choice for me. That's how I didn't have to pick. I was like, they know I'm here to make money, so they're gonna, give me more money, so I'm gonna work in the kitchen. And that's how I got into, cooking, culinary art. And I did that for a year, but I got into some trouble. Got into a fight in school, and I got put out. And I just started working. And I wind up working at this oil field company, making really good money. And but it was super, super dangerous. And right before Katrina, I decided to quit because it was really dangerous.
So you said in an oil field?
Oil field,
so
yeah.
What were you doing?
I was cleaning out the gas tanks.
Wow.
Yeah, I was cleaning out gas tanks, but I was making a lot of money. It was crazy. But
like you're in these tanks?
In the tanks with these, Class A suits on, cleaning like the sludge off of it, getting the tank ready for them to put new gas in it. And there's a lot of chemicals going around. And I remember we had a safety meeting every morning. And I remember them saying, like, we got this new chemical, and as soon as you inhale, your body don't exhale, you're dead. So make sure y'all got your mask with you. And this and that. I was like, what the hell is it? I was like,
Yeah, no mistakes you can make there.
Nah. And I mean, you no mistakes. I mean, the guys that used to have these vac trucks used to hook up and they used to, suck all the sludge and stuff out the tanks. They used to have like 2 inches between the truck and the tanks, and they would clear them every time. Like it was crazy how skilled human beings could be at anything. I was like, I can't be around this kind of environment. So I quit. And then I enrolled in Delgado, which is a community college. And I said, well, I'm going to go to Delgado for a little while. And I think I'm going to go to Otis and study toy design, because it was like the only toy design school in the country at the time. I think them and maybe RISD was like the only school offering toys being, as a degree. So I enrolled at Delgado, but I think I did like 2 months, and I think I might have dropped out or something to do something another. But Katrina came, and if you was enrolled in school when Katrina hit, they were letting you at any school in the country for free. So I was like, man, I missed my opportunity. I could have went. After Katrina, the government was offering money for you to take care of things, and I said, well, I'm gonna use my money to go to school. So I asked my old lady. I said, "You want to come?" It was just her and my son at the time, and she was like, "Nah, I think we're gonna stay here, with family and all that." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I went to Otis and I did what they call like a super semester, where I did like 2 semesters in one.
Wow.
So I'm at the school like 13, 14 hours a day, and I did like a year of school in like 8 months. It was the best time of my life. I had a great time, but I was missing my family at the same time. So I did that, and I just moved back to Louisiana. And I wound up working in the oil field again, but I was working onshore this time, making decent money, but it wasn't as dangerous. I don't know if you remember that they had this thing in the Gulf that had this oil pipe that was leaking like for months. This a BOP preventer. That machine, that's what I used to work on. I used to take those machines and rebuild them and send them back out. But they weigh like 30 tons. Like they're huge. They're like the size of a garbage truck. So I was on my way to becoming like a service tech, and I would be able to travel and make more money and all that kind of stuff. But I really didn't want to do that. So I started looking for a job, and the fire department happened to be hiring. They were hiring people of color because the fire department, that was like 65 firefighters. I think only 5 of them were black. So I took the test and everything, went to school, and I was a firefighter for almost 8 years. But in between that, I started back drawing and painting. And this was in New Iberia, Louisiana, and it's a really racist town. It's really different from New Orleans. And it's a really slow downtown. And I didn't want to raise my kids in that place. By that time, I had a daughter.
What was the name of that place?
New Iberia.
New Iberia.
Yeah, that's where they make Tabasco sauce, the famous Tabasco sauce. It's a beautiful place, and they got some beautiful people there, but it's also a racist place. I told my wife, I said, look, I think I need to take my what I have away for retirement. And, I had a house at a time. I had like a 5-bedroom house on a 3/4 of an acre. Because it's, money go a long way back in Louisiana. And I was like, look, we can try to go to LA, and I'm ready to do this time. I think I think we all can go there and do it. And if it don't work out, we just went on a long vacation. And she was like, all right. So they followed me out here, and Otis, they honored my scholarship. I think I had like 1 year left, a couple of months left before it would have been expired. So they honored my scholarship, and I was able to go back to Otis. So in 2015, I enrolled back in 2018, I graduated, and that's where I got my BFA. And
in toy design?
In toy design, yeah, in toy design. I worked 3 months in the industry and for Spin Master. It was a great company, like one of the top 3 toy companies in the world. And my dad wound up passing. I went home like 3 times in 1 month. It was like, really rough for me. And I decided that I couldn't do it. I didn't see myself in a place that I wanted to be in, because I just wanted to sculpt. And in that industry, like all the sculptors are like, they like the heartbeat of the company. The skills that they have, it's hard to replace them. So, all of the big salespeople and all the people that that's in those positions, they kind of rotate out, but the model makers stay. They don't want to. So I didn't see myself getting into that position for like another 10 years maybe. And I was like, look, it's just not. My heart just I realized my heart really wasn't in it like that. I just wanted to sculpt and make money. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to be designing and, sitting in these long meetings and having to do these presentations and watch my idea get, butchered because they have, 10% more plastic than the last one and all that kind of stuff like that. So I decided to get a studio and believe in myself even more and just make some things that I saw that I didn't see in the world. Not care about, what it was made out of, how much it costs. I just had to make what I wanted to see. I just had to believe in myself a little bit more. And that's what I did. And 3 years later, I started my company, JosephBrandon Art, LLC. And I just started taking myself even more serious, changing my name. So that means every time I speak to somebody, introduce myself, 10, 15 times a day. If I pick up the phone, I'm representing, my company, and I'm working every day. And that's how I kind of, got to where I'm at, like just putting one foot forward and then just making it, a little bit faster and making it more intentional.
I've got so many questions in different directions, but you have the most interesting resume of jobs that I think I've ever heard of, from, cleaning oil tanks to then being a firefighter for 8 years. And it doesn't seem like anyone can just be a firefighter, that it takes a lot of, commitment and requirements. And so how was that?
It's the opposite of being an artist because you have to learn the same information over and over and over. You can't make no mistakes. We had 2.5 minutes to respond to any emergency. We hear the dispatch as we getting ready. We put on our clothes and getting in the truck and we driving over because by that time when I got ready to leave, I was a driver operator. So I would show up in the fire truck. I would drive, cold out to sleep 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, show up, get the truck ready, hook to the hydrant and get ready. And you have all this time to think and figure it out and you have to be right. Because if not, then somebody could lose their life or you could lose your life. But my first fire was somebody lost their life. My first fire, and I didn't experience that. I don't think no other fire, But I don't know if it was the luck of the draw or whatever. But and I've done several different jobs. Like I'm a curious learner, and I tell people I take everything I do serious. And I think that's because of like the turmoil I had as a kid, like just wanted to be serious and be intentional. And I don't really have like this emotional connection. Well, I didn't used to really have an emotional connection to a lot of stuff. So it was just information that I would just do. And, I wasn't looking for, oh, you did a great job. I wasn't looking for none of that kind of stuff. I just wanted to do what I was supposed to do. So for me, jobs were easy. It was, I would interact with people and I would try to make emotional connections with people, and it was just a way for me to learn and pass the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love kind of how perhaps all the lessons that you've learned doing all these different jobs have then kind of filtered down into the work that you've done. And, I think it's really interesting that you met Lyndon at such a young age. And, we love Lyndon. We've had him on the show. And he's an incredible artist, but also someone that just thinks very independently, speaks his mind, has an opinion, but is also like so extremely creative. And so to meet someone like Lyndon at such a young age, must have left quite an impression as well. And then, I wanted to ask you about something. You said you don't make decisions, you kind of leave that up for someone else. Like, can you unpack that? Like,
I started to understand like what people were doing. Like people would kind of have like a story of who you are, and they would kind of like want to put me like in a situation and want it to go their way. And I'd be like, nah, I'm not doing that. And it would get to that point where I have to say that, but I don't know how I can say this. It's just something that I noticed that if it's not your decision, if you're not telling your story, somebody gonna tell it for you.
Yeah.
So that's how I deal with having to cut ties with people, because I'm doing what I want to do. I'm here showing up for you the way I want to show up for you, which is based off on how you want me to show up for you. But if you not really being honest with me, or if you feel strong because I said something that on the line with your principles or whatever you're doing, I understand that you have to cut ties. I don't want to. If I did, I would tell you. But if I don't want to, then you do it, because I'm telling you how I'm going to show up for you. I'm telling you how I want to be, what type of person I want to be. And you have to make that decision, because I already made mine. That's why I'm here. And that's just how I do. It's kind of like when you have like you have like two friends and they wind up dating, and then, when they split, they want you to pick their side. Yeah. I'm not picking a side. If you don't want to call me no more, that's because it's not none of my. I'm not here for that.
So they make the decision.
They make the decision.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, and everybody, my wife, my son, like whoever, my boss, my friends, if there's some kind of like, we could talk about everything, but that's when I have to get clear and say, look, this is how I'm showing up. This is what I want to do. And I'm not making a decision that's going to affect me like that, because you already know, how I'm coming. So that's kind of like how I deal with certain things.
And I think it's also interesting that, as you said, you're very curious about things and you want to learn and you're willing to try lots of different things. But at the same time, when it's not for you and you're not scared to change and do something completely different.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on, again, like if you get too much time to think about stuff, you probably not going to make you're gonna make a different decision. So I try to be as present as possible, and that's like the most honest way to be. And if I don't do what was asked of me, if I make a mistake, if I call you out your name, if I, mean, I'm just gonna apologize because that's not my intentions. But in a moment when you're being present, when you try to be intentional for one thing, I can throw my hands up and knock the water down. I didn't mean to. It can go way over there and mess up the equipment. All I can do is apologize and say, I'll pay for it to replace it. And, that's all I can do. Because, I'm not trying to do nothing ill towards nobody or myself.
Yeah. And what do you imagine, we're talking about 20 years chunks, we started off kind of speaking in that theme. Like, what do you want the next 20 years of your life to look like?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about that because what I have coming into my life, and I'm big on being responsible for the things that you do. I don't know. I get to bring a Black woman into this world, and I have a responsibility to make sure that she can know how to take care of herself and believe and fight for the things that she believes in. And I think that's like my main focus right now. I'm really not thinking about nothing else. Even my work, I know that I fought to be here. I made a lot of adjustments in my life to be in the position that I am, that I'm in. And I don't know where my practice gonna go. I'm not gonna know till she get here.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a decision a long time ago. Well, I did some analysis and I realized like why people stop creating. Like, what is it? Like, you see artists and they might not songwriters or whatever art form. It's because they stop doing it because they lose passion for it. I've kind of predicate my success in my practice on me finding ways to stay passionate about the work that I want to see myself make. I don't know where it's going to go. For the first time in probably since I was about 6, like I don't know when this moment come in a couple of months, like where I'm gonna go, like what my brain gonna do. When I had my son, my thought process was different. When I had my daughter, my thought process was like way different. Raising a female and being a male, it's really hard,
In the past, what were some ways that you kept that passion for your work alive, after your 2 children were born?
I got more focused on like working when my son was born. So I kind of like discarded like a lot of my artistic practice, but I was still doing work I was like doing more commercial art. So I was getting paid. And I wasn't as creative. I got really creative when I had my daughter because I had to think about the world differently. It just opened up a whole other part of my DNA. And that's when I got into like painting and doing a lot of shadow work, inside my work and dealing with, that part of myself, in that way. Raising them taught me how to fix myself. And that's when I decided, I was like, look, I got this plan. I know how I can do it. Let's just go back to LA, because my whole goal was just to take care of, support them by doing my artwork. Like, so if I run into an opportunity and it don't have nothing to do with my artwork, providing, support for my family, I'm not going to be here long. 5 minutes, I'm going to say hi and meet you, but I'm probably not going to call you back. I'm going to keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I have a job to do.
It's interesting. I think you could almost reflect on your work as you in different chapters related to names. So there's the little Joey chapter, there's the Brandon chapter, there's a JosephBrandon chapter, there's the Colby chapter, the Cat chapter, and then this new chapter that you're about to enter. Yeah,
that's a good way to look at it. But before I became a whole person, that's how I used to see myself. There was like Lil Joe, there was B, there was Brandon, and there were Joseph. Because I wanted to just be I wanted to just have that name for myself, But I was feeling like I felt even more complacent and disassociated. I think I wound up going to like, therapy for like the first time, dealing with that, just not feeling like whole. But, once I got a hold on, I'm not going to let nobody, put me in their, in their movie unless I can show up this way, because I'm already in my own movie, doing the things that I want to do. And I just, hope that when I meet people that we can, I could be on one of their episodes, it could be on one of my episodes, and we just, keep it moving that way. I don't have to make these, difficult decisions that I was making before. So yeah, this next chapter is going to be interesting. VR, MR, I'm thinking about stock trading, all kind of stuff that I'm a barber. I've been a barber since I was like 12 years old, and that's like the last job I told myself that I want to have is be a barber. That's an 8-hour day. I couldn't do it before because it, you have to spend so much time like in the shop, But like I think about doing that. They got so many things that I can do. I just don't know.
Yeah. If you did something like that, would you want to have your own shop?
Yeah, it would be my own shop.
Yeah, because then you can incorporate your art and sculpture and everything in that space.
See, like that, I didn't much think that far into it. Like I just see myself. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Barbershop.
No.
So they got this scene in Barbershop with Cedric Entertainer. Everybody's cutting hair, but he the only one that's not cutting hair in the barbershop, because he's old man, and every now and then it's like one person that'll come in and he'll cut their hair. Like that's how I want to be. I just see myself just hanging with the young people and just experience like just being something totally different. I have heard somebody say that same sentiment, like you could have artwork in there and this and that, and it was like that version of myself, I probably wouldn't even much want it to exist in a barbershop.
Yeah, you just got your community. You go there, you cut hair, you hang out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and when I talk to people about what I'm talking to you about right now, like they'll be like, "Well, you can do both of them. You can do them." Like, I just don't. I see things different.
Yeah.
I don't. And it's not that one is better than the other. I feel like I'm losing something if I do this other thing. It's just I know how to write a movie and follow through with it and make it.
Yeah.
That's why I do all the different things that I do, because it's just about, believing in yourself till you get to that point that you are what you believe in.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it. If you're cooking, you're cooking. That's
right.
it. If you're cutting hair, you're cutting hair.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you're sculpting, that's it. You're doing these very focused tasks or mediums, and that's it. That's the focus.
That's the focus. And like cooking, like it's like I have to do, like I'm doing gumbo for the Super Bowl next week, and I know how long it takes me to make it. I got to go get all the ingredients. It's there's no deviating from the process. Like it keep me in line. Like it's one of the things that I do to let myself like you can, it's like being on autopilot and following all these rules that you made up based off of something that that is real. That recipe is real, but it's changed enough to where it's yours, and you get to experience that with other people, and they like it. And they're enjoying it and having a great time with it. So that's what that same sentiment is like how I see my life when my daughter come.
What's on your walls at home? Do you have your own art up there?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. That's a good question. So I have this piece. I'll show it to you.
It's funny. I haven't asked anyone else that question before, but it just, I was thinking, do you separate your kind of home and work, or, do you like to have that work around you?
It's something I just started doing in the last 2 years because I achieved the thing that I wanted to achieve for myself. Like I gave myself a solo show, not based off of like selling, thousands of dollars worth of artwork, just putting the stuff up that I believed in, even if it didn't have, if people didn't understand it or whatever. It was just something that I wanted to do for me. It's like if I saw you and I thought you was a brilliant artist and I had an opportunity to show it in this gallery, I want to do that for you because I believe in you and I love you. That's what I want to do. So I took myself and did that for myself, and when I did that, I had a poster for the show, and what I did, I put that poster on my wall, and it was there for a year. And after a year, I took it down, and I put another poster that I did on the wall. It's a drawing that I did, and I have that on my wall. I have a painting that my son painted for me. My son is also an artist, and my daughter, but they both swore that they won't do art to make money. They're gonna do it just because they love it. And I was like, I wish I could do that. Like, that's the whole purpose.
That's a privilege there to paint just because you can.
Exactly. So it's actually a drawing that I did. I woke up out my sleep and I did this drawing, and it's in my window.
Okay, I love that. And it looks like it's on almost like tracing paper or like an acetate.
It's on regular. It's
like on regular paper.
Regular paper. It's a big paper I got printed at the FedEx.
Yeah.
But it's because it's in that window, it's glowing like that.
Oh, that's a window.
Yeah.
It looks almost like a light box behind it.
Yeah. And then there's the picture of my son that painted on the left, and then there's a sculpture that I brought from an artist that I love, ceramic sculpture, and then there's
Is that the cat? It looks like a cat upside down, but I don't think it is. No,
it's like a fish. It's like it's almost like a hammerhead shark mixed with a fish.
Oh yeah, what I thought was the cat ears is actually the tail of the fish.
Okay. And then there's an action figure, a toy action figure, a Spawn action figure. That was one of my goals, is to work for Todd McFarlane, who designed Spawn toys, and I was a big fan of his, so he came out with this character. This new character, and it's got the Black Panther holding it over his chest like that. So we kind of pay homage to Chadwick Boseman. So I bought that piece, and that's a piece that my wife did, a batik piece, and that's it. Like, I think there's a drawing or something that I wanted to do.
It's nice. You got some variety there.
Yeah.
Lots of different kind of moments.
Yeah, I got a picture of me and a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, DeAndre. I think a pin from when my son. We went to. He attends Denver University, and they get Denver University dad. Like, I just put that on there.
Nice.
But yeah, it's my thing that I look at, and it keeps me. It reminds me that. That those are things that I choose to take with me as I go up.
And in general, what would you say the point of art is?
This is what I tell my students. We here to visually communicate. When I went to Rome, I sat with this 75-year-old artist, and we talked for like an hour, doing hand gestures and drawing stuff on the paper and looking at some of his work. And he couldn't speak English, and I couldn't speak his language. And it was a beautiful experience, So we here to, it's a form of communication. And, they figured out how to make money doing it, and they figure out how to kind of separate, like, something good from something bad, based on how much time you put in or what you decide to paint or draw about and all that. That's, again, I'm not going to choose. They're going to choose. I'm not here to get no awards and all that kind of stuff. It's nice that people get them, because I hope that's what they wanted. That's why I'd be so happy for people when they get those things, because I'm guessing that's what you wanted, and I can't give it to you. So I'm happy that you got it.
Thank you for visually communicating with us. Where can people see more of your work, or, find out what you're up to?
I post stuff on Instagram. It's the easiest way, because it's like visually, like, you just post a picture. You don't have to write nothing. That's the easiest way. Is Instagram at JosephBrandon Art. On my website, JosephBrandonArt.com. That's probably the two ways. Mondays and Wednesdays I teach at Otis College. Any of my artist friends, they're welcome to drop by.
What do you teach there?
I teach an interdisciplinary class. I am categorized as that kind of artist, and the department is called CALE, Creative Action Integrative Learning, and it's where I take all the disciplines that Otis teach, and we put them in one class. And we work with a community partner, and we use our visual communication skills to create assets that community partner might need. And I like to say it's the first time that the students get to use their skills in a professional environment. And also they get to use other skills that they didn't know they had. Because I tell them, when you get out there, start working, the ones that can make the adjustments are the ones that are going to stick and go where they want to go at. Because, things change. And you can do more than one thing. That's...
I'd love to pop in for one class sometimes.
Please, we love to have you.
Okay.
You'll be an amazing guest to come and, show them that they can make a career being an artist on all different levels. With this podcast, it's just, everything you do is done at a high level, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for coming in today, JosephBrandon. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode of What's the Point, recorded at Spotify Studios in Los Angeles. Check out our website made by Eat.studio. Grant Alexander Peters does our theme music, engineering, and editing. Research and pre-show preparation are done by Vern Molidor and Joyce Adams-So from the Shantell Martin studio team. If you like this episode, please consider subscribing to the podcast and leaving a nice 5-star review. Don't forget to check out the show description for more information on today's guest. And you can follow myself and the podcast on Instagram at Shantell_Martin. What's the point?